Hello, welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot, and today I'm filming a VR to Katey Flowers, and this is the hashtag only 10 decks. This was really hard and if anything has made me realise that I need to have more than 10 decks, that I am happy to have a bigger collection. Trying to work out this tag has helped me to see that, because with all the stuff about decluttering recently and reducing your tarot collection, I have wondered if maybe I have too many and that I should get rid of some. And my problem is just that I don't have the storage. My problem is not the decks, I think, because there were loads more than these 10 that I really love, and some were in the list and then they were out of the pile again, and it was hard to pick. Anyway, I'm going to share with you what I have picked for today, with the caveat that this is the middle of November 2021. If I did this on another day, I'd probably pick something else. Okay, so 10 decks. The first deck that went into the pile was, sure this is no shock to anyone who's watched my channel before, the Gaian Tarot, and this is the Lewellyn Edition. This is possibly my favourite deck of all, and if I only had one, it would probably be this one. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful world that Joanna Powell Colbert has created. I realise I'm showing you the same cards I showed you in the last VR. The illustrations, I mean, these are coloured pencil drawings. These are not photographs. And the art is just stunning. I've had this deck for a few years, and it was a kind of foundational for me learning tarot. So yeah, this definitely would be in, no matter how long the list was, 1, 5, 10, that would be in the list. I also decided I would, if I could only have 10, I would keep this, which is my 1971 or 72, whatever it is, Blushing Fool Rider-Waite-Smith. This is a deck that I found secondhand, obviously, in a charity shop. Although they knew they had a collectible item, and it wasn't, I didn't get it for a $5. They charged for a collectible. I think it was £40 or £50 that I paid for this. So I didn't used to read with the Rider-Waite-Smith. I just had the Centennial, and then I never read, I never shuffled the Centennial. I just kept it as a study deck. I didn't like the art. But since getting this, I have read with it, and the cardstock's just, it's so nice. I find sometimes if I've had a question that's quite straight and practical, maybe to do with work, or there's the Fool there, to do with work or something like that, this deck is just super, because there's no, I don't know, it's not that there's no nuance, there is nuance, but I feel like a reading with the Rider-Waite, because it's so foundational to my study of tarot, you just pull the cards and you can see it, you can see it quickly. And so as a collectible item, as a study deck, as a reading deck, I would have to include the Rider-Waite. Okay, so that's 2. Next up, the Spirit Keepers Tarot First Edition. I've only recently just got the 3rd edition, the Revelation edition, and I thought about including that one, but this deck's this was like the one that had got away. I had been following the creation of the deck way back, and then when the orders opened for the Spirit Keepers Tarot, the 1000 print run was sold out almost immediately, and I didn't get a chance to get a copy. So there's the wee certificate of authenticity. So I was gutted that I'd missed it, and I did get the Vitruvian, which I have and really love, and I did get the Revelation edition, which is beautiful and full colour. But there was something magical and special about this deck, and I managed to acquire a copy through the lovely Julie. Hi Julie, if you're watching, at Peekaboo Rose, who had heard me talking about the one that got away, and sold me her copy. So this is kind of a little bit special too because it was Julie's. But yeah, I love this first edition. And if I was only keeping 10 decks, I would have to keep one of the Spirit Keepers Tarot because I feel like Benabel has created something really special here. But if I could only keep one of my Spirit Keepers editions, this would be the one. Okay, so that's 3, 4. The Druid Craft. This wasn't initially in my pile of 10 decks. I actually had picked a different deck, and then when I pulled this off the shelf to have a look at it, because I was like, oh yeah, the Druid Craft, I forgot about it. I realized that this is a really special reading deck to me, and I had to bump another one. The Druid Craft, as you can see if you know this deck, I've modified it by taking off the borders, at the bottom, some of the border, and then at the top and sides. So it's a nice modification because the back design is still centered, and the cards are more manageable in size. So this deck, it's just a great deck. It's just a great reading deck. It's one that I've had for quite a while. I think I got it in 2017. And the art is gorgeous, and the colors, and I just love the flowy qualities of the fabrics. And because it's kind of I think the guidebook talks about it being British, pagan. Look at that Ace of Cups. It's just gorgeous. But it does have some Irish inspired imagery in it. I'm just looking for one card in particular. That card's really special to me because I predicted I saw in a reading the birth of my niece in that card, which was lovely. And this card, once I pulled cards about going away for the weekend, and the reading was very clearly saying, no, don't go away for the weekend. And I was like, no, but I want to go away for the weekend. Why shouldn't I go? And I pulled this card, the Chariot, reversed. And I was like, okay. And then I went out and my car wouldn't start. So I just find this deck has been, as a reading deck, just really, practical. I like this card particularly because this is Newgrange, or Brúnaboinne, in Ireland. So that's just the very front entrance of it, that's been pictured with these characters. So I just love that that's depicted in this deck. Okay, so the Druid Craft, a great reading deck. I do regret not buying the bigger boxed set with the bigger guidebook because it explains more of the imagery. So if you're thinking about it, consider the big box. Okay, so that's 4. Next up, this one, the Celtic Wisdom Tarot Pack. So it comes in this big box and it has a big hardback book in there. So this year I spent a bit of time tracking down some second-hand, out of print Celtic themed decks, and I would keep all of them, but this is the one that maybe is the standout. So this deck, the illustrations are by Olivia Rayner. They're absolutely amazing, and you can see very clearly and the stories from Celtic mythology, predominantly Welsh and Irish. So there's Blodaiwith. This is the Dagda. This is Bowen, Irish goddess. The Morrigan as the Queen of Battle. This is, I believe, Finn McCool, and the battle. There's a whole story around this battle of these two fighting to the death, which works really well for the 5 of Swords, the combat of battle. So this is both, I think, a teaching deck, as in you can learn about Celtic mythology from reading. So they're the Ace of Knowledge. So this is the kind of the earth suit. She's included the Leafoil, which is a stone where the kings of Ireland were crowned. So the the cards, you know, help to teach you about mythology. Like there's Maca racing the horses, but also, you know, once then you know the mythology, that layer of meaning is added to your readings with these cards. So plus the art is just gorgeous, and you know, if you were working with a particular god or goddess, you could pull out their card and use it as an altar card and think. Anyway, I'm going to run out of time because I can see there's a countdown here. I must be running out of storage on my phone, so I'll not spend too long. But that's the Celtic Wisdom Tarot pack. So that would definitely be in the pile as well. Surprise one. And this is probably because I'm doing this right now in November 2021. I would include in my 10 decks this deck, Le Tarot Noir. This is because I've just been learning to read with pips, and I found reading with a Marseille style deck actually has been really great, especially for kind of quite fortune tellery predictive readings. This deck is, I love the art, the quirky faces, and you know, the style. Look at that devil card. I really enjoy the art in this deck, and the cards are huge, like they're really big. And so a 9-card spread with this takes up a lot of table. But I think if I only had 10 decks, I would want to include one pip deck because I've been studying and learning that style of reading, and I want to keep working on that style of reading. So that would definitely have to be in there. And so that's 6. It was really tricky to narrow down because I have so many gorgeous tarot decks, and in the end I did decide I would include, if I only had 10, I would include the Light Sears Tarot. This is the Indie edition, and yeah, it's just so beautiful and colourful, and I want to like be these people and live in this deck. Maybe not that card. But it's just so gorgeous. I mean, Chris Ann has done an amazing job with this art. Yeah, I mean, you know this deck. It's available mass market, but this is the indie version. And yes, I think I would hang on to that if I only had 10. All right, so far, so tarot. I mean, I have so many great oracle decks as well. And but anyway, if I could only have 10 decks, I would keep this one. Some of them are still in the box there. But this is the Sacred Ireland Celtic Moon Oracle, which is independently produced by Moon Mana, Karen Ward and Bernie Sexton. So I'll try to remember to link to their website below. This deck's really special. It was bought for me as a gift by my sister last Christmas. It features places in Ireland, sacred places, the seasons and goddesses. There's Bridget, Morrigan. So the keywords are pretty simple and straightforward. There's Newgrange that I was showing you. The Druid Craft had the front entrance with the cross stone and the quartz up around the entrance. So that's an aerial view of that same site. This is just special because it's places that I can go to, places that I have been to, like that, Loughcrew, and goddesses from my culture and history. And yeah, so that deck I would hang on to. And let's see. Oh, I've like 2 minutes left on this countdown. My Mother's Wisdom deck I would have to hang on to as well if I only had 10 decks. I think if I only had one oracle, this is probably the one I would keep. The Mother's Wisdom deck is out of print as well, unfortunately. And I was able to track down a copy secondhand, but I think I did have to pay about $80 to get this, which, anyway. So it contains images of goddesses who were mother figures, animals as mothers, nature, things like their shell, and historical figures. And the book is really the great thing in this deck. So each entry has like a 2-page piece of writing, which is all about lessons of motherhood, challenges of motherhood. And this is a deck that I pull a card from every month, and I just have the same card out for the month, and the lessons are just, it's just a beautiful book about mothering, and the cards are a really nice way to to access and read that information and get that inspiration. So that is my 9th deck, and number 10, Cheryl Yambach Rose, Through the Eyes of the Soul. And yeah, there's other Oracle decks that I love and could have chosen instead, but this is one that I bought this year in Glastonbury, and I think just mainly 2 reasons really with this deck, because it reminds me of Glastonbury, because like there, for example, you can see the Tor in the background. Not every card depicts Glastonbury, like there's lots about Mount Shasta in America, which I've never been to. That's an Irish one. But also because I love the art, and because, yeah, I haven't put this away since I got it in August. I've just been using it constantly. So 7 seconds left. Those are my 10 decks. I'll try to list them in the comments below.